So just going to explain a little bit about the architecture of the DSP. So you've basically got a 12 by 4 input source switching matrix. So you've got your 4 analog inputs, with 2 of those switchable to another 4 channels of AES, and then you've got the optional Dante card. The 4 outputs from the source matrix then feed 4 input processing channels, which have gain, mute, delay, 8 bands of parametric EQ, and in a future firmware update there'll also be 3 bands of dynamic EQ. So this is the same EQ that we use in the 5 series processors. Then we've got a mix matrix for the input processing. This can be used in switching mode and also in a full matrix mixing mode as well. So the output processing that's available, you've got your gain, polarity and mute, delay. There will also be an FIR block available, and then you've got your standard high and low pass filters up to 48 dB per octave, and then 9 bands of parametric EQ, and obviously the standard program and peak XTA limiters. So pretty much everything that you would expect from a 4 series or a 5 series unit is available in Delta. So those are the 4 channels that power the internal amplifier. Then we've got the 4 auxiliary outputs which have exactly the same DSP. So the XLRs that you saw on the back, they have exactly the same DSP processing capability as the power amp channels inside the amp. Now the networking actually is very flexible and gives you a lot of options to allow you to be a bit more creative with how you route your Dante audio around. So obviously you've got your 4 network inputs from the network, but there are also 4 network outputs from the Delta back onto the Dante network again. And these can be selected from 5 different points in the signal path, which makes them very flexible. So point 1 is basically a copy of the auxiliary outputs and gives you exactly the same signal path as the XLRs on the rear panel. So that's post-processing and post from the mute that you can use on the front panel. And then point 2 is the same DSP, but it's pre-mute. So if you mute an output from the front panel, that won't affect the Dante output. Then we've got point 3, which is post the mix matrix. So that's basically the same group of signals that will feed the auxiliary outputs, but pre their processing. And then point 4 is exactly the same, but for the power amp channels this time. And then the last point is post input processing, but pre-matrix. So one important thing probably to note here is that you can only switch the 4 Dante outputs in blocks of 4. So all of them will be sourced from the same point. You can't choose point 1 for one channel, point 2 for a second channel, point 3 for a third channel. So all 4 switch as a bank simultaneously. There's no mix and match as far as those output points are concerned.